Just give me your names and where you live. And
I'm Ben Tipton. I live in Battlement Mesa, Colorado.
Tamarisk Village.
Yeah.
Do we need to give the address? Probably.
no, you can
Okay.
just say your name.
All right, Sharon Tipton, and we've been here about 3 years. And about a year into living in our new home, I discovered they were planning on putting gas wells in our PUD, which I found completely wrong, and decided to start checking into it some more and getting behind the fight against it.
I'm retired from water and wastewater treatment operations here in Colorado, and I like to tell people about all the training and the testing and the supervision through the state and EPA we have to go through in these water and wastewater treatment facilities. And right here in Battlement Mesa, they're trying to put an injection well where they're going to inject wastewater and chemicals within 500 feet of our water treatment intake, and to me it just doesn't make sense to allow that to happen. And they've pretty much cut out the Colorado Department of Health and Environment of having any say-so in it. The COGCC was developed for this reason, to benefit the gas drilling.
Did you, before you moved here, did you have any opposition to oil and gas in general, or?
You know, I never thought of it because I didn't grow up around, even in California. I was in central San Joaquin Valley, where it's more of the Stockton area, where there's a port, and Manteca in Spanish means butter, which it was a swamp area, so there was no drilling right around us or anything. You know, and the whole area at times, the farmlands thing would flood during the spring. So, you know, driving down through Bakersfield into LA a few times, I remember seeing all the wells, oil wells right next to houses and stuff. But I'm going, well, that can't be good. But I never really thought of it that much. In fact, when I first moved out here to Colorado, in the little mountain town of Newcastle, you didn't see or hear of any of it really happening until the fracking started. And that's the big change as far as I can see, you know. But now you see it all up, and you drive I-70 from here all the way up to Glenwood Springs pretty much, and on the side of the road and along the river you've got drilling rigs and everything else. And then you go back east or west from I-70 and they're all over the place, more than houses. You know, and even up in the national forest in the hunting country, there's big drilling tanks, so, you know, where they've already drilled and everything, and there's times you can smell the gas. And I'll be quite honest with you, I've been hunting in this country since 1978. This year, I have not seen an elk, and it's the first time since I've lived out here. And I don't ATV hunt them. I'm on my foot a lot. I still walk 6-7 miles a day. Not one elk did I see this year. And this is known elk country where there should have been plenty. Talking to other hunters, they haven't seen them either. I don't know if it's the gas, the activity, or if it's overhunting or what, but that's what I personally witnessed.
Sure.
Yeah. When we lived up between Newcastle and Glenwood in the Canyon Creek area, we heard about things like this on television. People's having to test their water and lighten their faucets on fire. But you know, and I always thought, well, that's just terrible. I'm sure the government will do something about that. Well, it appears that they don't, and I was extremely surprised to find that, and I'm very concerned about our community, our families that live here, our drinking water, which we pay for, by the way, being contaminated if they put that injection well down there by our water intake and our treatment plant. Not to mention the homes that are barely 500 feet from where they're wanting to do it. So I hope that this can be changed.
And they say that injection well is gonna put the wastewater, the fracking wastewater down 7,000 and 8,000 feet, and it won't cause any harm or anything. Well, and they say, well, the line is encased going down in concrete, 3 or 4 layers. All I know is I've seen sidewalks and driveways made out of concrete cracked. You can see them all over the place. And not only that stuff is going to be there forever, right along the Colorado River.
Yeah.
They're gonna sit there and tell me that they know 30, 40, 50 years from now what's gonna happen with that stuff under there. Not only that, you've got the town of Debec downriver, about 10 miles away. They draw their water out of the Colorado River too. You know, and nobody can predict what's gonna happen with that once they inject it under there.
Yep. Yeah, and they say it's just salt water, but I know darn well we've seen lists of chemicals that they use in their fracking. So I really don't trust what they're telling us. They're trying to make us believe that it's safe, but I don't believe it is.
And then I've got the actual paperwork from the state of Colorado telling this water plant what to test for and how often, and there's only two things that on that sheet that they test for every day. That's chlorine residual, and that's to disinfect the water, so from pathogens, so people don't get sick. And the other one is turbidity, which is just about basically the clarity of the water. The total organic contaminants and synthetic organic contaminants are the most dangerous things. They might test for once a year. The radionuclides are anywhere from 6 to 9 years. It's when they test, and there's an atomic test site 3 miles east of us right here. In 1969, they exploded 8,000 feet underground a nuclear device to free the gas up, and then realized that the gas was contaminated with radioactivity, so they had to shut it down. So who knows if that's migrated into this gas around here, and that's what we're breathing. You don't know. Nobody tests for it that often to where it's feasible to really predict if there's any contamination.
And I understand they're trying to get approval to drill even closer to the atomic explosion site than it had been before suggested.
I believe they passed that.
Did they?
So I know about that, but so basically there's like a zone where they
Yeah, I
can't
think
drill.
it was 3 miles, and they decreased it to 1.5 miles. Now I might be wrong on that, but it can be looked up.
Sure.
I just can't.
And that was right around here, wasn't it? Like, or
3 miles from
3
here.
miles
Just
from
right
here.
over the ridges back over here. I'll show you on our little drive. You'll see it.
Okay.
In fact, I'll take you up that road a little bit before it turns into.
And this is when like the big like shale gas boom was here, right? Or
This was in 1969.
okay, so
In
this
fact, a guy I used to work with was younger than me, and he was sitting at school at his desk, and they felt the rumble
crazy.
in rifle.
What was it?
When they got.
Somebody said it was 10 times the size of the Hiroshima explosion
Underground, like
underground. Yeah.
8,000 feet underground. So, and they've done they've done about 3 or 4 of them around the country, and of course they can't use the gas
Yeah.
because it's radioactive.
makes sense. Oh, I've heard about that, but yeah, that's some more details that I didn't know. So they're letting people drill 1.5 miles from that now? That's
I
crazy.
believe so. Yeah,
That's
they've
insane.
decreased it, and I think that I looked it up on the internet once. The testing the EPA did on that nuclear explosion site, and I think they only test for it once a year too. They have a monitoring site right up there, but I didn't delve into it that much, so I'm not sure exactly how it's tested or how often. But from what I read, it was once a year. But if these monitors they've got up there, it might be continuous monitoring. I'm not sure if there's alarm on them or not. But there are houses up there too.
So who have you been working with to try to stop the injection well and the other drilling activity out here?
BCC, Battlement Concerned Citizens, and then with the Western Colorado Congress, I mean. Those are the two people, entities we've been working with.
And the Grand Valley Citizens Alliance.
Right.
They're pretty important too.
Yeah, they've done